are the toilets. They don't use up water. When they're full, we close them up and we put the compost around our trees and plants so the trees and plants can grow.
One thing I wouldn't want to do is start this when she was already a teenager, like convincing a teenage girl or boy that they now have to use a compost toilet might be a big challenge. Not that big.
Newport an der Küste von Wales. 4 Hektar Land und ein umgebauter Pferdewagen sind das Zuhause von Familie Watkinson. Um das Klima zu schützen, leben sie off-grid, sind also nicht an das zentrale Strom- und Wassernetz angeschlossen und versorgen sich größtenteils selbst. Dazu gehören auch die 100 Hühner, die sie artgerecht halten.
Chickens originally are a jungle bird, so they don't really want to be out on open pastures. They want to be under a tree canopy, scratching around in the leaf litter and finding worms and woodlice and things like that. And I guess part of my frustration with the career I chose was I didn't feel I was achieving much. So this is my sort of attempt. This is how I think it should be done.
Vor 7 Jahren entscheiden sich Matthew und Caris, dem Stress und Arbeitsdruck in London zu entfliehen.
Before we moved to Wales, we were both vets, but we struggled with that, and we reached a point where we had to make a big decision. Were we going to invest the money we saved to buy a house in a house, or were we going to do something absolutely bonkers and buy a field in Wales instead? In the life we were in before, like you're being crushed by it. And like you almost don't exist anymore. You're being a version of yourself that the job requires or society requires. Whereas here, we're getting back to ourselves. And then after that, children is possible. If we hadn't made this move, these guys, I'm going to get emotional about it, but these guys wouldn't be here without this place.
Just don't stand in too much poo.
Die 4-köpfige Familie braucht nicht viel zum Leben. Ihre Fixkosten liegen bei etwa 1.000 € pro Monat.
We get about 100 eggs a day, and I've got to sort them out, check they're clean and they're not cracked, and then package them up for whichever delivery is next. So part of our planning is we have to make a certain amount of money from a land-based business. We have to cover our certain types of bills, like council tax and our mobile phone bills, and buying clothes and things like that.
Die One Planet Development Policy der Regierung in Wales unterstützt seit 2011 Menschen, die sich für ein nachhaltiges Leben auf dem Land entscheiden. Es erlaubt der Familie Watkinson, Flächennutzungspläne zu umgehen und auf ihrem Ackerland auch zu wohnen.
Sometimes we get lots of air in here, don't we? And then the water doesn't come through very well.
There's water!
That's all our water from the stream, Bill. Where does the water come out then, Bill?
The sink.
The tap.
The tap, yeah.
So we put the plug in.
Yeah, where it comes from.
Familie Watkinson muss strenge Auflagen erfüllen, um hier zu leben. Ihr Haus muss klimaneutral sein. Sie müssen sich mit Strom, Wasser selbst versorgen und genug erwirtschaften, um ihre Rechnungen zu bezahlen. Und sie müssen ihren Ressourcenverbrauch bei der Kommune einreichen.
So how much did you pick for the nettle burgers?
Yesterday?
Yeah.
Yesterday I picked, I think it was 412 grams of nettles.
Yeah.
About 1.5 kilos of blackberries.
Oh, wow.
And whatever Billy ate. I have no idea what he ate. The same with the raspberries. How much
Yeah.
actually makes it back to the house, those
That
guys?
we can measure. I don't know. Sometimes half, yeah.
Yeah. We only got planning permission to live here by committing to a low impact lifestyle, so a one planet lifestyle, which means we're only using our fair share of the Earth's renewable resources, sustainable resources. So in the Western world, we're living as if we have 2.5, 3 planets. I think in America, they're living as if they have 5 planets. We're all told to buy, you know, you've got to have new stuff all the time and more clothes, more shoes, the latest technology. But this party is coming to an end, I think. The climate can't take it. The ecosystems around the world can't take it.
Matthew und Caris sind auch für die Zukunft ihrer Kinder Elsa und Billy ausgestiegen. Der ökologische Fußabdruck der Familie ist sehr klein. Mit ihrem Lebensstil verbrauchten sie allein 2020 nur die Hälfte an Ressourcen im Vergleich zum Durchschnitt der Bevölkerung Großbritanniens. Tausend Kilometer nördlich von Wales liegt die völlig abgeschiedene schottische Hebrideninsel Gometra. Vom Festland ist sie kaum zu erreichen. Eine Fähre gibt es nicht. Rock Sandford lebt seit 30 Jahren auf der Insel und ist hier zum Klimaaktivisten geworden.
I had a child, maybe 30 years ago. I was very lucky. And I wanted him to understand the wilderness. And so I looked for, my family comes from farming. My family are all farmers. So I looked for a place where he could experience the wilderness and I could farm.
Rock hat reich geerbt und die Insel gekauft. Seinen Lebensunterhalt verdient er heute mit einer Schafzucht. Doch Wasser ist auf der Insel Mangelware.
So this is my spring. The water falls on the mountain in the rain and then comes out here. We catch it in this little place. And then it goes down pipes into some big tanks that I've kept. So I'm just checking I've got water still. It's been so dry that I have to just keep an eye on how much water there is. It's dry here. It's climate change. And in New York, in Germany, elsewhere in the world, there are floods. I maybe underestimated how difficult it was to live here because there's no doctor and there's no school. From the outside world, I miss a washing machine very much. A bit less I miss ice cream. It's people I miss more than things.
Rock hat gemeinsam mit seinen 4 Kindern auf der Insel gelebt, bis diese in die Schule und damit zu ihrer Mutter nach London ziehen mussten. Sie kommen ihn regelmäßig besuchen. Rock verzichtet nicht nur auf fließendes Wasser, sondern auch auf Strom und Heizung.
So this is the generator house, which is where we used to generate our electricity when we used kind of proper electricity. All the generators broke, but it's such a liberation not to have it. I feel so liberated. And I think there's a lesson there because a lot of the things one has, when you don't have them, you're better off. Some things that's not true at all, obviously. But there's a lot of things that in Western society we have that we don't actually need. There's lifestyle denial, the idea that we can go on living in the same way as we have with fossil fuels, just by changing to electric cars or whatever. Our lives have to change, but I think they will change for the better.
Neben Rock wohnen hier nur noch 4 weitere Menschen auf seiner Insel. Rock lässt sie hier umsonst in den alten Häusern wohnen. Andy lebt seit 4 Jahren mit seiner Frau hier und repariert gerade das Dach der Schäferin.
How are you doing?
I'm good, I think.
Brilliant. Is it defeating you, or are you defeating it?
No, it's a bit more tricky doing it. Good. Right. There was an enormous sense of dissatisfaction. It was like, well, what's the point of all this just stuff? Being here now for about 4 years, we've come to realise over the years, because there's always a question, why? You know, why live in a way that, you know, no power, no electrics, you live by candlelight in the winter, and it's kind of, it is quite windy here, it's quite wet. But the force of the island is so strong, you know, and you get a sense of real connection with an element here. And it's a powerful thing. And actually it feels like a privilege to be like this.
Auch Andy und seine Frau haben sich bewusst für dieses andere Leben hier entschieden. Auf der Insel müssen die Bewohner sich um alles selber kümmern, denn kaum jemand verirrt sich hierher. Rock lässt sich nur alle paar Monate Trockennahrung, Getreide und Hülsenfrüchte vom Festland liefern. Den Gemüsegarten teilen sich alle Bewohner der Insel. Rock lebt seit Jahren fast ausschließlich vegan und versorgt sich größtenteils selbst.
So the garden does 80% of our fresh stuff, maybe 90%. But of the stuff that you store, like rice, it doesn't do any rice. It doesn't do any lentils. And we're always wanting to find a way of doing it, so we do more and more ourselves. But we really rely on these massive world systems as well, like a big ship bringing rice from Tanzania or somewhere. So we're very conscious we're not perfect, and it's just learning all the time.
Rock hatte sich nicht von Anfang an als Klimaaussteiger verstanden. Zuerst hatte er noch einen Geländewagen und mit seinem Generator auch eine Waschmaschine betrieben. Erst nach und nach hat er seine Lebensweise immer emissionsfreier gestaltet. Caris und Matthew Watkinson leben nicht weit von Newport entfernt. Hier geht Billy zum Kindergarten und Elsa zur Schule.
You count.
1, 2, 3.
Doch im Dorf hat nicht jeder Verständnis für ihren Lebensstil.
We've lived here on the farm for 5 years, but we are quite unusual in this village. So it's a sort of coastal tourist village normally, and so this kind of living is very unusual here.
Yeah, just a couple of people that had second homes, so they didn't always live here, and they might now have retired and moved here. So they've got, you know, thoughts that why do we want to build a little cabin in a field, you know? I just don't think they understand.
In fact, there's quite a bit of resistance in the village to what we're doing. They see it as abnormal and not what they want here. We've got support as well, but the support is never quite as vocal as the opposition to this kind of stuff.
Schätzungsweise 75.000 Menschen leben in Großbritannien inzwischen off-grid, also ohne Anschluss an das zentrale Strom- und Wassernetz. Doch nicht allen geht es dabei auch um Klimaschutz. Die One Planet Development Policy in Wales will bewusst Klimaaussteiger fördern und ermöglicht es Familie Watkinson, auf ihrem günstigen Ackerland zu wohnen. Normalerweise können sich junge Familien in dieser Gegend kein Haus leisten. Doch die Hürden für das Regierungsprogramm sind hoch. Allein die Antragstellung dauert über ein Jahr. Bislang leben rund 40 Haushalte in Wales, so wie Familie Watkinson. Doch einem Teil ihrer eigenen Familie fällt es schwer, ihren Ausstieg fürs Klima zu akzeptieren.
They think that we should be just making as much money as we can and have as big a house as we could afford, and just working and having lots of nice big things, and they kind of think that's what we should be doing with our life, really. And they just don't get it, and they don't like it, and they don't like what we've done, they don't like what we've built. And so unfortunately we just go, okay, fine. So if we ever meet them, we meet them somewhere else, and they don't come up here.
Matthew und Caris erfüllen bislang die Forderungen der Regierung. Jedes Jahr wird ihr ökologischer Fußabdruck aufs Neue berechnet. Trotzdem suchen sie nach weiteren Möglichkeiten, ihren Ressourcenverbrauch zu minimieren.
We're feeding the biodigester probably every 3 or 4 days. I think it's incredible. This is just waste. That's just would be chucked in the food waste bin or in a compost heap. But no, we can put it in this thing and it'll produce fuel.
Sie nutzen das Gas aus der selbstgebauten Biogasanlage zum Kochen. Der Bau ist unkompliziert und mittlerweile bieten sie dazu sogar Workshops an.
It's a significant source of energy here, and it's just being provided by bacteria, life. We're harnessing the power of nature.
Mittagszeit auf Gometra. Rock kocht mittlerweile mit Alkohol.
When I came to live here, I was always interested in finding solutions and being smart and just making it all work. And it's fun. It really is fun.
Rocks Ressourcenverbrauch ging erst über die Jahre immer mehr zurück. Es sind die vielen kleinen Dinge im Haushalt, die er versucht nach und nach zu verändern, wie etwa das Kochen mit einem Thermostopf.
When it's hot, I'm going to put it in here, which is like a big thermos flask. And that way, it just starts boiling, but I don't have to boil it for an hour, which normally for pulses you have to boil for an hour. I just get it boiling, and then I put it in here, shut the lid, and then it stays hot and it stays boiling. When you polluting, like by burning petrol, in a way you're stealing from society because you're causing damage to society, which you're not paying for.
Rocks Aktivismus beschränkt sich nicht nur auf sein privates Leben. Seit Jahren engagiert er sich politisch. Um sich mit anderen Klimaaktivisten zu vernetzen, muss Rock in sein Büro, eine Hütte am Hügel und der einzige Ort auf der Insel mit Internetempfang. Vor einem Jahr gründet er die Organisation Ocean Rebellion zum Schutz der Meere.
The nature here does give me strength to do a lot of the stuff I do. And it also reminds me why I'm doing it.
Ocean Rebellion will beim UN-Klimagipfel in Glasgow vor Ort protestieren. Dafür will Rock sogar seine Insel verlassen.
We started Ocean Rebellion in August last year, and we started it because we saw that the oceans were the most important thing in the whole picture of the climate breaking down and nature breaking down. The oceans were the most important part of that. But they were getting the least attention from protesters, NGOs, governments, and from the public.
Ocean Rebellion protestiert mit aufwendigen Kunstaktionen wie diesen für den Schutz der Meere. Unter ihnen ist diesmal auch Rocks Tochter Savannah. Die 22-Jährige lebt und jobbt in London.
I think the really interesting thing about living somewhere like Gometra is that you can see all of the processes that are invisible in a city, and they're kind of very clear before your eyes. So if you want to be warm on Gometra, if you want to heat a room, you have to go out and chop the wood, and you can see that the wood supplies is the trees that you have to chop down, and that there are a finite number of trees. There really aren't very many on Gometra, and so it all feels much more precious. You're kind of aware of the preciousness of it. And exactly the same thing's happening in London, but all of that fuel consumption is happening behind closed doors.
Savannah hat ihre ersten 5 Lebensjahre auf Gometra verbracht, bis sie zu ihrer Mutter zieht. Inzwischen lebt sie mit ihrer Schwester im Stadthaus ihres Vaters.
The difference between Gometra and London does feel severe, and the reality is that you cannot live in London with the same low carbon impact that you can on Gometra. I mostly don't buy new stuff. I definitely don't buy new clothes. I don't buy any clothes. Here, so in Gometra, we wash by hand, and here we use a washing machine, which is the greatest electric luxury. You put things in a washing machine, it comes out clean, it's magic. Yeah, I mostly eat from skipping food. So this is our current vegetable box. All of this was found on the street. So I've been just recently I've been waitressing in this restaurant where there's a quite shocking amount of waste. Kind of like 20 pizzas a day. It's funny, one of my co-workers, we walked out of the restaurant together. We've been working together for a couple months. And I started giving pizzas to people. And he was like, oh, wait, like you give those pizzas to people? And I was like, yeah, do you think I eat 20 pizzas a day? And he's like, I just thought you had an insane appetite.
In Großbritannien landen 9,5 Millionen Tonnen Nahrungsmittel jährlich im Müll. Für Savannah eine große Verschwendung, die vor allem auch auf Kosten des Klimas geht.
I think that most people who grow up in very pristine environments, particularly if they then see those environments being changed or altered, then have a different consciousness of that. I think we were shaped a lot more by Gomitra than by our father and by his activism. I think that having a relationship with that kind of place is the kind of thing that leads you towards activism or towards different kinds of climate work.
Savannah hat kein Auto, fliegt nicht, versucht nur kalt zu duschen. Sie und ihre 3 Geschwister sind alle aktiv im Klimaschutz. Schulschluss in Newport. Billy und Elsa auf der Suche nach Nachtisch.
Look, a caterpillar. This is very weird, caterpillar. Let's get it off, shall we? Do you want to eat one? Yeah. My favourite food is raspberries. We're picking raspberries to have after dinner. If it's off. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I've got 7, 8, 9. Billy, don't follow me into here, okay? In here we've got some pumpkins growing, some in the middle. There's lots of caterpillars on the cabbages. I like them because after they're a chrysalis, they turn into butterflies, and the butterflies are really beautiful. Up there, there's a wind turbine that makes electricity from the wind. We use the electricity from the wind turbine to power a TV, iPads, a fridge, lights, and some computers and some phones.
Hi, Bill.
Hi. Is it finished? Oh.
It stopped.
It stopped. What happened? The TV has stopped.
Oh, is it doing that thing it's been on
been
for?
talking that.
It's been on for so long. It's gone into standby.
No, it won't stop him in the middle of a
it's
film.
off-grid kids, huh? They're all over. They're running around and watching TV for 4 hours.
We didn't want to just completely go back 100 years and, you know, not have a television or anything like that. So Billy's chilling out in the shade because it's really hot, and yeah, he's just watching a little film inside on the TV, and that's fine. And so that's coming, you know, so the electricity's just being made by the sun.
Ihren Strom gewinnen sie zu 100% über das Windrad und Solarpanels. Aber ganz ohne Konsum und Abfälle geht es nicht.
Any plastic we can fit into these plastic bottles, we do that, so it all gets pushed in as much as possible, so it's really full tight.
Die Plastikflaschen sollen zukünftig als Baumaterial dienen.
I thought we could have enough to build a house by now, but we don't.
Auf Gometra wird Plastik zu einem zunehmenden Problem für Rock.
So lots of plastic watches up here. Most of it's from fishing. This is fishing. This is fishing. That's fishing. That's fishing. That's fishing. This is someone playing on the sand and they've lost their spade, so that's a pity. But it comes in, more comes in. So we will never win. When I came to live here 30 years ago, there were birds here diving into the sea, and that was because there would be something like a dolphin underwater chasing the fish up to the surface, and then the birds would dive down from above. And now, no birds. It's very serious.
Rock bereiten diese Veränderungen große Sorgen. Und obwohl Rock kaum in die Natur auf seiner Insel eingegriffen hat, hat sie sich sehr verändert. Rock ist sich sicher, die Folgen des Klimawandels haben die Vögel und Seerobben von seiner Insel vertrieben. Vom nächsten UN-Klimagipfel in Glasgow hängt viel ab. Um die Klimaziele zu erreichen, muss mehr passieren. Aber reicht das noch? Familie Watkinson fährt heute ans Meer zum Fischen. Auf ein Auto kann die Familie nicht komplett verzichten, fährt aber nur selten damit. Denn um ihren Lebensstil auf ihrer Farm fortzuführen, sind sie auf eine positive Klimabilanz bei der Kommune angewiesen.
No. Swap hands. Before, we've done a lot of travelling. We've been to Africa and India and other parts of Asia, all over the place. But that doesn't feel like it's viable anymore to just jet off all over the place as much as we want to. So we're trying to set life up in a way that everything we need is nearby. No, but it is. Right, you're up. Okay?
Yeah, I think so.
Our beans?
Uh-huh.
Is that okay? Is that an okay thing to say?
How do you get really good at it?
Ihr Leben als Klimaaussteiger soll sich für Billy und Elsa nicht als ein Verzicht auf etwas anfühlen.
We try not to deprive her of much. Like any kid, there is the worry that we do live a little differently, and she goes to school, and you know sometimes children can be mean to each other, and but they know why we're doing this, you know, because of the climate, and they can see, you know, that the climate is changing and is probably going to change even more.
You know, we're not doing the annual skiing trip and all that sort of stuff that other people may be doing, but
Yeah.
we're trying to create a new normal.
Dazu gehört auch ein Abendessen am offenen Feuer.
One of the big reasons amongst all of the others is what's happening in the environment. So climate breakdown, habitat loss, species loss, all of that. We accept our role as part of this environmental crisis and decide, do you know what? I don't want to be part of this problem anymore. I want to be part of this solution. I've got to be able to say to them, yeah, okay, we were perhaps a bit irresponsible when we were younger, but now we're doing as much as we can. We need everybody else to chip in a bit as well.
Matthew ist davon überzeugt, es braucht nicht unbedingt nur mehr Klimaaussteiger wie sie, sondern Millionen, die alle ein bisschen was tun.
I worry more about, you know, big companies and the top 1% just not really doing anything. A lot of these climate reports then say at the end of them, but if we all work together, we'll keep it within 1 degree or whatever. And I just think you know, at the minute, I don't see everybody working together to do it. So I don't know what's going to happen. It is really worrying.
Billy, do you want a flannel?
Yeah, and a rhino.
And a rhino, of course.
Für Rock ist Klimaschutz auch eine Frage von Generationengerechtigkeit. Seine Kinder sind alle Klimaaktivisten.
So this is a photograph of me and 3 of my children at the Declaration of Rebellion. And on the left is Laser, and then it's me, and then it's Blue holding the flag, and then it's Savannah. Also understand they're not really being, well, they're definitely not being given a choice. It's like they're being put in a position, and all their generation are being put in a position where they, once they've understood what's happening, they have to protest. They don't have any option. So it's very unfair because they don't want to be protesters. They want to be, you know, get on with their own lives and do whatever they want. But they're just not being given an option by our leaders who are genocidal and leading us over a cliff. This whole crisis of climate breakdown and nature breakdown could, if handled right, bring everyone in the world together. And if handled badly, it will set everyone fighting each other.